What's up, guys? It's your girl, Nurse China with House Beauty and Wellness. If you follow me, then you know that I recently just took a vacation. I went to Miami, Florida, and I want to do a story time, but I also wanted to kind of show you guys what I did. So I'm going to do a story time while playing these videos. Like I said, I recently took a flight. I flew into Fort Lauderdale. And while I was at Fort Lauderdale, airport on my returning way coming home, I had an incident with a African woman who, is from Africa. I'm assuming because of her accent. And during this incident, this lady called me an ugly monkey, guys. So I just wanted to really make this video and really get an input on what is that really how we're viewed, women who are African American, who aren't born and raised in Africa. Are we viewed this way as monkeys by women from Africa who are born and raised in Africa, who come over to America? Do you guys think that we are ugly monkeys? And I don't want to put what she called me out in everyone's mind, but this is the first time that this is the first time that I've actually went through, something of that nature. Cause really it's a hate crime. It's a hate. So I just want to know, is that hate the same? Like, is that how we're viewed, because I was just really confused, like from one black woman to another. It didn't matter if she was African or if I was, something else. From one black woman to another, calling another woman an ugly monkey. It just really blew me. And it really got me out of character. I'm not going to lie. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I really stepped out of character, and the first thing that popped in my mind was, I'm about to go to jail. That popped in my mind, then the board of nursing, and then my children. Those are the three things that came across my mind once I heard that. Because really, that was the final straw. Let me give you guys the backstory. So the backstory is, everybody knows who travels. There are more than one TSA checkout line, right? Or checkpoint line. There's more than one conveyor. There's more than one checkpoint. And, initially I was really confused with TSA themselves, because if a conveyor goes down, wouldn't you expect you would expect TSA to communicate that with the travelers and let them know, hey, this conveyor is down. I'm going to need you guys to go to conveyor 2 or conveyor 1 or whatever the case may be. But that wasn't communicated to us who were in that line. So we were a little confused. And as we watched one TSA employee take travelers' belongings from the broken conveyor to the fixed conveyor, we all, of course, go over to that fixed conveyor's line, right? And as I'm putting my things on the conveyor, me and the older lady, we were having a discussion about, what just took place. Like, man, that was really unprofessional, Like, gosh, we didn't know that we had to come over here. And as she's like, I'm after you. I'm going to put my things on after you. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to put my things up here now. So I'm putting my things on the conveyor, and I got my things in one bucket. And as I'm getting ready to put my things in the next bucket, someone just throws their belongings in there. So I'm like, I needed that, I needed that bucket. So another TSA worker, she looks at me and she goes, yeah, okay, I'll get you another bucket. I'm like, wow, that was really just rude, So whatever the case may be, the traveler who threw their belongings was told to go through the checkpoint. And she pointed at her belongings and said, I'm going to wait on my things. So I probably shouldn't have said this, but I said, you should have stayed with your belongings. You should have stayed. You should have stayed with your belongings. It was no reason for you to put your belongings in my bucket and then walk up and wait until they come up. There was no point in that. So, I said that, and she obviously was, lady, don't, she said, lady, don't start with me, quote unquote, lady, don't start with me. I said, oh, don't start with you what? You should have waited on your stuff. I was just speaking the truth. You obviously were in so much of a rush, that you threw your belongings into the bucket that I was, getting ready to use. So as I'm going through the checkpoint, I don't know, she's still saying some stuff. She's throwing up her hands and all this stuff, but I'm walking through checkpoint. I get to the other side of the conveyor, and I'm waiting on my things to come. She comes. She stands directly in front of me. And at that point, I walked up to the conveyor. I started to grab my things. Another gentleman was in front of me. He goes, here's your bucket. Here's your things. I said, thank you. You're so nice. There's other people are so rude. Mind you, she's standing there, and she goes, lady, again, and throws her hands up again. Mind you, we're very close at this point, so I took a step back. Then I heard the words, ugly monkey. So at that point, I dropped my things, and, I confronted her, and it just really blew me, because I was just like confused afterwards. Like, she was a dark-skinned African woman. I'm a dark-skinned African American woman, but for you to call a black woman to black woman, for you to call, another woman a monkey, I was just like confused. But then I was like, well, she's of African descent. So I'm just curious. I need people to chime in. I need to know, like, have you ever experienced this? Or have you ever, overall, I had an awesome time in Miami. Don't get me wrong. All the videos are the pictures. I had a really relaxing time until it came down to me getting ready to leave and that incident at TSA. And I don't know if she thought that she can say anything to me because we were at TSA, but that comment really just took me there, and it really took me out of character. But I just want to know, like, is that how African women view African American women? Do you guys think that we're monkeys? How do you view us? Really want to know. Chime in. Share this post.